What did Michael Scott do after he left Dunder Mifflin? Have you ever noticed that Meredith's actual job was never revealed? And finally, who is the elusive Scranton Strangler? Stay tuned, because we have the answers. Hi, I'm Dylan, and you're watching Awesome Movies. What did Jim's note to Pam actually say? Can we have a drum roll, please? Because that's a question with an answer. In a tweet by E! News, a copy of the note was released into the wild. Okay, onto the internet, but still. In typical Jim style, the note contains some honest admissions, a bit of romance that gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling inside, and of course, a little gutter humor. Despite viewers never directly seeing the contents of the letter in the show, the note was actually a handwritten letter from John Krasinski to Jenna Fisher, penned just in case it was accidentally caught on film. Its contents? His thoughts about their time together on the show and how much he enjoys working with her. Ah, true love. Where did Dwight go to school? Dwight definitely the character with the most colorful background in The Office, except perhaps for Creed, but we'll get to him later. He often distresses his coworkers with stories of his unusual upbringing, from not exchanging gifts on birthdays to being polytheistic and speaking pre-industrial High German. Dwight's childhood was obviously anything but ordinary. So what was his childhood like? Dwight tells Angela that his family came to America on a U-boat, but this must have been before his time, as we know that he was born on the family farm in Scranton. For proof, he cites memories of his own birth and his mother biting off the umbilical cord. TMI, anyone? But his perfect English kinda indicates that he went through the American school system. Fact. Or at least, we think so? Staying with Dwight, we have another mystery that needs solving. In the second season, Dwight says, "I like all my coworkers," with 4 exceptions. But we never find just which 4 colleagues feature on his naughty list. While the show never really gives us an answer, we have a pretty good idea of who's made the cut. Naturally, Toby is right at the top in first place, purely because Dwight hates anyone that Michael hates. Andy is sure to have the second spot on this list, given his romantic history with Angela. Of course, Jim probably earned his spot on the list through his constant pranks and, in Dwight's view, dismal work ethic, while we're pretty sure that Phyllis nabbed the 4th spot when she usurped Angela as the head of the party planning committee, which was ruthless. But why exactly does Michael Scott hate Toby Flenderson? From the first season, we've seen Michael's poorly disguised rising temper whenever Toby is nearby. The sheer magnitude of Michael's hatred for Toby would imply that there is an enormously important reason for the dislike, and we'd love to know what that is. Granted, some of the reasons for this hostility have been addressed. That Toby works for head office, so isn't technically Michael's employee, or he's a party pooper who spoils Michael's fun, but is that a good enough reason for Michael making Toby's working life a living hell? What makes this relationship even more confusing is that Michael does not extend this animosity to any of Toby's family. In fact, when we meet Toby's daughter Sasha, Michael's like a different person, showering her with affection and attention. The internet is full of speculation on this one, with theories ranging from Michael resenting the fact that Toby got divorced given that he was a child of divorced parents, or that he was jealous that Toby had a child when he didn't. So while the speculation is rife, the answer remains elusive. Will we ever find out? Unlikely. No.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Staying with Toby, he had a chance at happiness and sunshine in Costa Rica, but ended up back in Scranton. What happened to Toby in Costa Rica? While Michael's reaction at seeing Toby back is beyond epic and will forever live in memes, why on earth would Toby return to the Scranton office of Dunder Mifflin, where he works for a boss that literally hates him? Sure, he says he broke his leg and was going crazy being bedbound, but we might have a different theory, but don't quote us on this. That it's all down to love. Toby has been smitten with Pam for years, and perhaps his heart is like the little engine that could. It just kept trying. That's so unfortunate. It was never going to happen, making him even more of a sucker for punishment. Toby may not have gotten the girl, but Jim did, in one of the most enviable relationships of television history. Seriously, will I ever find someone to learn Morse code with me just to annoy a coworker? But even this relationship is not free of some niggling questions. Let's stay on the topic of love and romance for a bit. We have more questions. Why the heck did Dwight still want to marry Angela after everything she did to him? While it's easy to say we should forgive and forget, where do you draw the line? Angela not only refused to acknowledge that she was with Dwight, was she ashamed? That's harsh. But cheated on him, lied to him, belittled him, and strung him along. And despite this, he didn't run a mile in the other direction, but married her. Maybe it's that mysterious German background that clouded his judgment, or maybe it's just that the heart wants what the heart wants. Either way, that's a mystery we'll never be able to solve. Although we'll never understand why Dwight married Angela, the wedding itself raised more questions than it answered. Since leaving Dunder Mifflin to be with Holly, Michael basically falls off the face of the planet before he reappears in a genuinely heartwarming moment at Dwight's wedding, alone. What was Michael up to for all that time, and why didn't Holly join him at the wedding? The possibilities may be endless, but the answers aren't. Granted, Michael's presence at the wedding was an amazing surprise, but it was equally surprising that he attended without a +1, especially given that Dwight didn't actively dislike Holly, which, for a Schrute, is a pretty big compliment. We like to think that she was covering for Michael at work. Maybe he reopened the Michael Scott Paper Company? Though this is unlikely since, unlike David Wallace, we knew about that company's financials, or lack thereof, which leads to our next question. What did David Wallace do when he realized he'd bought a company that wasn't worth anything? I mean, that's gotta hurt. Whatever happened to due diligence and a little research, David? But when you think about it, maybe buying out the company wasn't such a bad idea. The most important part was that Dunder Mifflin got their clients back. As a secondary bonus, Michael's price was to have himself, Pam, and Ryan rehired, which was pretty heartwarming. We're halfway through our questions, and we aren't even halfway through the staff at Dunder Mifflin, so we better rectify that and turn our attention elsewhere. Fans of the mockumentary will be well versed in the goings-on of the office, including what everyone does, from the sales team and finance to Creed's decidedly questionable role as quality control. But does that include Meredith? What is Meredith's job description at Dunder Mifflin? When we meet her in Season 1, she's supposedly an accountant, but in Seasons 2, 8, and 9, she's apparently in charge of supplier relations. Whichever one it is, any shot of Meredith at her desk also features a seemingly never-ending game of solitaire on her computer. So unless she's actually a professional solitaire player, her job can't be that important. We hope. Another decidedly shady character in the office is Creed, and while it's possible to ask a million questions about this guy, we'll limit ourselves to one. Who is Creed Bratton? The former hippie with questionable morals, a drug problem, a tendency towards kleptomania, and a self-declared history of identity fraud, whew, I need a breath after that rap sheet, is hiding more than he shares, obviously. In a particularly memorable episode in the 4th season, Creed admits that his real name is William Charles Schneider, but can we even believe him? In fact, can we believe anything about him? Is there even such a concept as real for this guy? Maybe one day we'll find out. Sadly, today's not that day. But Creed isn't the only one in Scranton hiding something. For our next question, we're moving beyond the employees of Dunder Mifflin. So, who was the real Scranton Strangler? Despite a man by the name of George Howard Scubb being investigated, Toby, who was a member of the jury, believes that the real Strangler is still on the loose. Of course, Michael takes this opportunity to insist that Toby's actually the killer, but we can't be the only ones to know that it's impossible. Okay, that's not exactly helpful, but we think we have a pretty good idea of who it might be. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Phyllis Vance, the wife of Bob Vance from Vance Refrigeration. Sure, she's sweet as sugar when she needs to turn on the charm and acts the lovable colleague, but her dark side was evident when she was blackmailing Angela and enjoying every second of it.
Yes, I've replaced Angela as head of the party planning committee. I guess I was just in the right place at the right time.
If you're not convinced, how about that time she cut in line on Pretzel Day with a little smirk, despite her colleagues' outrage? Or what about when she stole Pam's wedding plans for her own, including the dress? Time and again, Phyllis has proven that she's capable of some pretty doggy behavior. So, why not murder? One thing we do know is that there's something fishy in the finance department of Dunder Mifflin Scranton, which leads us to our last question. How was Kevin never fired? Apart from making a killer chili, R.I.P., and having a gorgeous wife, we know little else about Kevin, except that he is not good at numbers, and yet he works in accounting. When he's not working overtime to fix his mistakes or driving Angela crazy with his ignorance and ineptitude, Kevin kinda does nothing. So how did he manage to stick out a numbers job for over a decade? Either he's hiding something, or the management at Dunder Mifflin is just oblivious and... Oh, wait. Okay, never mind that one then. Do you plan on rewatching the show to get some answers? Let us know about your questions from The Office. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe to get more awesome content.